But moving away from this game, gents, I think the biggest news dominating the headlines, not just in England, but across world football, will be what's happening in Manchester City. Now, I'm not going to get bogged down by numbers, etc., but how severe are the consequences for this, for City, their players, the manager, etc.?
I think it's, you know, like I say, I don't want to talk about something that I don't know too much about.
Which
so you
is the
look
numbers.
At it, yes, which is a number. So I look at the players' situation, the manager's situation. The manager's, you know, apparently he's come out and said, even if we go down to League One, I'm still going to be here. Apparently Raheem Sterling, a similar situation. But the interesting thing is that A, how long will the ban be when Manchester City contest it? And the question marks will then be not necessarily the players that are there, but can they then attract the other players that they want without European football?
You'll say, Mark?
That's absolutely. I mean, I don't believe for 1 second that Pep Guardiola would stay there if in the League One or League Two. I don't think most of the team will be there in that position for a number of reasons. Firstly, financially, they couldn't afford it.
True.
Because the financial fair play would come in, revenue would be reduced dramatically, so it just wouldn't happen. Listen, we don't know what's going to happen. Obviously, UEFA have passed on their verdict. It's going to go to CAS, you know, Court of Arbitration for Sport. See what happens, and then I think, my understanding is, if the verdict comes back and City are not happy with it, they're going to take it further. It's going to be, I think, a longer-term process. I think we're going to find out down the line somewhere, but it's not great for the game. It's not great for City. It's not something that they'd really want to have to deal with at this moment in time. And it's going to, depending on the outcome, if they are suspended for 2 years from European football, they're going to have to make changes because of the financial restraints. So there's going to be big changes at City. And I think if they go 2 years, there's going to be, you know, 3, 4, 5, 6 players at least that don't want to be there because it's pinnacle parts of their career and they want to play European football.
Like Kevin De Bruyne, who's what, I think 29 at this point in time. So if it comes into effect for next season, it's going to be 31-ish.
That's right.
By the time it ends.
So that's why, for that reason alone, I just can't see it. But listen, that's a long way off at the moment. It's in the process now, and we'll see what happens.
Expectations, though? Do you reckon it might be reduced to a 1-year ban? We see that quite frequently. Look at Chelsea's transfer ban.
Yeah, I think it's something, but I think what we're seeing now, we're seeing a precedent being set.
Yep.
And, you know, then you have to follow on from that if it happens again. But, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if it becomes, you know, the happy medium, which is, you know, the year, and then they move forward from there.
I believe AC Milan had something similar a few years ago. Then they were allowed to compete in the Europa League, and they're currently serving a new ban from Europe this season, so it can be complex.
Which they just accepted as well. So there's that element of that as well, I think. I think once if they've admitted they've made a mistake, or, you know, or overstepped the line, then I think that generally the punishment is a bit more lenient. I think the fact that City are adamant that they've done nothing wrong, therefore we're going to have this big battle, I think.
Do you think it's cheating? Do you consider it cheating? Because now they're saying they might take away the title, bit of a points deduction from 2014. Liverpool would then get the title then because they finished 2 points behind. Even Steven Gerrard's making a few comments about it for obvious reasons.
Financial constraints are brought into the game for this very reason, to not allow teams to just run away with things, to go and spend as much money as their owner would have. They're breaking the rules. Do you want to call it cheating? I think that's open for interpretation. They're breaking the rules. So what does that lead to? Cheating, probably. Would they have had the success they had they not been able to, you know, to spend the money they did? No, probably not. Would they have been able to bring in the type of players? No. Would Pep Guardiola's team be playing the level of football they've been playing at? I don't think so. So there's an element to say, well, if they break the rules, you've got to be punished for it and accept the rules once the final verdict is passed on. Does that mean they get stripped? Well, there is a case to look back and say, during this period, when you did actually bend the rules or break the rules, therefore it's no longer valid.
Would you consider that, if you were a Liverpool player, which I know both of you have never been, would you consider that a title triumph if it was awarded to you, or not?
Obviously, you're not able to go through that period again, as in terms of actually winning it and lifting the trophy. But if it's to be the case, then, you know, I don't think they'd scoff it and say no. It's likewise with Manchester United when they finished second under Mourinho. We've seen him make a little bit of a joke of it, 2018. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But, you know, if they end up being stripped of the Premier League titles and Liverpool were to get one and Manchester United were to get one, yes, obviously it's not the same, but, you know, it is what it is in that situation.
It just puzzles me because when you look back when FFP was first introduced, it looked to be something that was supposed to handle debt. Obviously, we've seen what happened to clubs like Leeds United. They just couldn't sustain it, and obviously they almost went bankrupt. They were almost forced to close shop, and we've seen Bury close shop this season, for example. But it seems to be moving away from the debt and more to sustainability, which is why City seems so irked about the whole thing, because you look at, say, PSG. Now, they spent, excluding wages, close to $500 million on Mbappe and Neymar. It's just 2 players. City themselves, their record is still 60-something million pounds for Rodri. They haven't gone out and splashed 100, 200 million pounds. They bought a lot of players, but they haven't actually gone and splashed the cash on a big superstar, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, listen, I don't know the figures. I don't know the numbers. I know PSG have found themselves in trouble and they've had received bans. I don't know the ins and outs of it, so it's hard to really comment on. Is there a like for like? I don't know. I mean, of course, there's question marks. You've got to ask those questions because when you hear the figures that are banded about with Neymar, with Mbappe, you start to think, hang on, how do they stay within the rules? That's why you have UEFA. That's why you have these controlling bodies, governing bodies, and hopefully
and individuals on those bodies, I should add as well.
Yeah, of course. And so therefore, you hope that they regulate them as much as they do everyone else. Everyone should be judged the same way.
Does it strike you that everything's being judged the same way? Because Bayern are in debt, Real Madrid are in debt, Manchester United are in debt. It's no secret.
No. I think it would be wrong of me to talk about something that I'm not
fully versed in.
I'm not fully versed on, and I'm the first one to admit it. Obviously, we know what's going on in Manchester City. The statement that they put out before it actually happened, they foresaw it to come. But what I would say now is that with this happening with Manchester City, does it now set a precedent for other clubs? And where do we find ourselves within? But as in terms of the technicalities for each different club, like I say, I'm the first one to admit I don't know the ins and outs of it, and it'd be wrong for me to even say anything because more than likely be wrong.
Yeah.
But what will be interesting is to see what happens next.
That would be interesting. What do you reckon could happen next? Because if rumours are to be believed, I mean, if City start bringing in other clubs and their figures and numbers, I mean, this could get pretty big in the grand scheme of things, potentially.
Yeah, it could. I mean, it could open up a can of worms. I mean, I don't know. It could get very ugly. That's just what we don't want in football.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just hope it all gets sorted out one way or the other and we can move forward and hopefully the game can speak for itself and we can enjoy performances. Talk about VAR so much. Let's not talk about financial fair play that much. Hopefully the game itself can be spoken about and how wonderful the game is. Unfortunately, sometimes these things do occur and they need to be sorted out as quickly as possible.
I don't expect that either of you were at a club where something of this magnitude was happening at the same time whilst you were there. But does it distract the players? Do you think that we might see less focus from Manchester City's players because of what's happened?
No, I don't think so. I think as players, you can't control what goes on behind the scenes. It's as simple as that. I think Manchester City, they're in the Champions League this season. We all know they're not going to get the Premier League. There are other trophies that they can win. So I think the players, they'll just want to get on the football pitch and concentrate on that. And they'll leave all of that, to the powers that be, that understand it more.
So nothing plays around in your head, thinking about your own future.
But I think the information that was released was that they called in all the players and staff very, very quickly, within a couple of hours.
Within an hour,
with the announcement. So they would have been briefed. They would have been given a statement by the club. They would have been told about what their position is, what their stance is, what they're going to do, and that's all we know. So what's been said, what they've promised, what they've not promised, I don't know. We don't know. As a player, I think right now it's about playing the season out, finishing it. Like Danny's saying, they've got competition still to play, and they've got Champions League football. They've got
the Euros in the summer as well.
That's right. So these guys, it'll be what it will be. There's nothing they can do. They can't change anything. All they can go out there is play football. Some of these players may be thinking, you know what? I'm going to play for my future now. If this does actually stay, the ban stay in place, they're going to have to sell players. Who knows? You just don't know.
Interesting.